Kalofalahiatu, everyone, all our listeners. We are celebrating the Niuean Language Week. And I am so happy to have here our first lady, the first for a long list of ladies who will be coming to talk to us about their native language. So I would like to introduce to you our dear guest, and I'm going to read her bio. She has a very extended bio, but so it's so rich that I had to reduce it as with the main important achievement for our dear guest. And our dear guest is Lynn Lolokini Ikimotu Pavihi. She is Niuean born and raised in the village of Avateli. Lynn acknowledges with pride her Samoan heritage through her father. She was educated in Niue before moving to New Zealand to further her education. Lynn is the mother of two and is passionate about vagahau Niue, serving as a vagahau Niue tutor and translator for the Pacific Education Center, and as an author who has written books in vagahau Niue. Lynn is a senior leader and serves as the associate principal at Favona Primary. She was the face and voice of government's COVID-19 message and was recognized for her contribution in inspiring children in their language journey. She is the Ministry of Education Pacific Education Award winner at the recent SunPix Awards. Lynn has transitioned learning online because of COVID-19, which has gained international interest from Niueans living abroad. Furthermore, she has used online platforms like social media to share with Niue audiences her love of vagahau Niue and Niue culture, which includes demonstrating how to cook traditional Niue dishes, for example, polo tosisi and whaikai, through her 11-year-old son, Siuni, amassing more than 1,000 views on social media, and reading books online in vagahau Niue by Niue authors, including herself. Now I'm going to ask Lynn Lolokini Ikimotu Pavihi to read her own motto. So please.
Kia lala mounga e vagahau Niue si hahamo ke he tapunu. Put Niue language on your shoulders and with all your might and power, carry it to the highest peak.
Here you have, auditors, listeners. This is it. We have Lynn with us, and this is very exciting because Lynn is working with children with her books, as you have heard. And one of the first questions I would like to ask you, Lynn, is just tell me about your upbringing, coming from Niue, you have learned your language at home, maybe, at church, maybe, or with your friends. Please tell me more.
Mitaki whakalawhalahi atu, ena whakalawhalahi atu ki tōlu, hadau tōlu da matakainanga ko mai ki whawhonga mai ki hadau tōlu a whakaholoanga nei. Warm greetings, everyone, from the Rock of Polynesia, Niue Island, the capital of Polynesia. Yes, so my name is Lynn Lolokini Ikimotu Pavihi. Very blessed and very humbled to be able to, born and bred on the beautiful village of Onionepata Avaseli in Niue Island. I was, the youngest of four girls, and I have one brother. And my parents, late Paumare Aukuso Sasalu Fofo Peters Pavihi, from the villages of Wailoa, Whaleata, Loli'i, and also Alafua in Samoa and Avasele in Niue, and my beautiful mother, Sifatonga Ikimotu Pavihi, from the beautiful villages of Avasele and Hikutawaki in Niue. I was very blessed to be able to be nurtured and was brought up by my mother's parents, by my grandparents, Siuni Ikimotu, and also Rosafa Godsmark Ikimotu. So I had a very fruitful upbringing where I was able to do cooking outside, where I was able to learn the craft of living off the land, learn the craft of, living off the sea. I had to go with my grandparents to the bush on our motorbikes or bicycles or at the, on the truck, to plant the taro and to work in the plantations. I was able to immerse myself in a whole variety of teachings and, to do with the Niue language, the Niue culture, and some of the important Niue protocols as a tama fifine Niue. My grandfather was a very skillful fisherman. And, I played a part in, helping to carry his canoe, his Whaka, down to the channel in Malutu, Maiehi, Avasele, and, and able to also see my mum's brothers. My mother's very blessed. There's 11 of them all together. And, my mum's got 7 brothers. So I was able to see all of that in my upbringing. But I tell you, attending the local schools, Leolo Primary School, these are the outer village schools before all the outer schools were merged into one Niue primary school. I think, I had the best upbringing, the upbringing where you were able to go and play outside and play with the boys and play marbles or play, whatever tools or whatever things that we could utilize to keep us excited or happy. Even playing on we were able to play on the road, the untassealed road. We call it tamahala. I was able to do that. There was no restriction whatsoever other than go home before nighttime.
Excellent. I think you had a very you have the grandparents. That's usually the case, for all the little children or grandchildren. They usually grow up and have been taught the language. I guess your parents as well, and you had your friends, going out like normal children on the island, going out and having fun. So that's quite a good context, isn't it? But I see that you mentioned your surname, and it's quite an important name. Can you tell me a bit more about the surname that you carry?
So Ikimotu is my mother's last name. So Iki in Niue is chief and Motu is island. So Ikimotu, chief of the island.
Wow.
So,
here we go.
Ikimotu, and Pavihi is my grandfather's last name. It's, for me as a tangata Niue, as a fifine Niue, I hold highly my names, and it's very we say mokoina, passionate, because I'm very blessed to be named after both my parents and my mother and my father's side. Lynn is my dad's my father's cousin in Samoa, and Lolokini is my great grandmother's name from Marshallese, the Marshall Islands. And Ikimotu Pavihi are my parents' last name. So I'm very blessed to be able to carry on those beautiful names with me.
Very beautiful. So to all the men over there, we got a chief or a queen among us. So thank you very much for this introductory words, Lynn. As we talk about, we have mentioned, your work as, you wrote books, and I just want to, those books are mostly targeted to children. So I just want to go through those books, just for you to tell us, what is in that book. And I'm sure you can read a passage of one of the books. So let me share with you the books that are here. This is one of those. Can you just tell me what this book is and it means for you, please?
Yes, so this book is called Whewhiwa He Pela Pela, basically meaning play in the mud. So it's about my son, Siuni. Was his first birthday, and during the celebrations we sent out the invitations to his families and friends, and it was held at the Kelston Community Centre. You know, we had the Niue cultural protocols. We had, you know, the aunties, the relatives, all, you know, put their iepili, their, you know, to cover his chair, his seat for his birthday. You know, birthday celebrations, especially first birthdays, are very important celebrations in our Niue culture. So as they were waiting to bless the food and bless the cake, they were looking for siuni. And of all places, siuni was literally outside playing in a puddle, playing in the mud. So when they called him to come and, you know, blow the candles on his cake, and he was all covered in mud, and it was, you know, his clothing, his were all brand new, you know, for especially bought for his first birthday. So despite, you know, all his behavior on his first birthday and being, you know, all covered in mud, the celebrations continued.
So it
Yes.
was an appropriate title for the book. I'm going to move to the next one. Next one is Whakataila, is that right?
Yes, whakataila. So whakataila is tasted or try it in vagahau Niue, in English. So this story was written by myself. It's in the context of here in New Zealand. So my daughter Sifa and her best friend Rangi. Sifa invited Rangi over to her house one weekend. And while Rangi was over at Sifa's house, they were having lunch, and the food that was, you know, was put on the table for lunch was our Niue delicacies, and which included a takihi, a very famous Niue delicacy. So Sifa said to Rangi, "Whakataila, no, give it a go, taste it, try it." So Rangi had a little taste. And then she actually liked it. And then she asked for another piece of the kiki. And, you know, that you know, was the beginning of Rangi's, you know, passionate and her like of the new delicacy, the takihi. So she thoroughly enjoyed the taste of the takihi. And from then on, she always wanted Sifa, her friend, to bake a takihi and make a takihi.
Excellent. We're going to come back later to that book because I think you're going to read us a passage in Niue. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Koe e mata whanga I awasele. Is that right?
E hako ena, so koe mata whanga I awasele, the beach of Awasele. So this was the beach that I was born and bred, and I was able to have my first swim. I was able to, you know, bury my feet in the sand, and then was able to, you know, so basically this was about the beach that I really adored and was part of my upbringing. So it was my cousins, Jacopo, Taveli, and Loy. They went out fishing. So in Niue, there's a season where we have the kaloama, tiny little fish, like tiny little sardine fish.
Yeah.
And they only come on a special season. So if there's like the onion grass, if you see them sprout, you know, pink flowers, then that's a sign that these little fishes will be coming up to the sand. And you're only allowed to fish them using a fishing rod. You cannot use a net, or you cannot use any other form of fishing other than using a fishing rod. So after school one day, these 4 boys went home and they saw a lot of people at the beach fishing for these little fish. Or they wanted to go for a swim, and then they joined in with their uncles, and they were able to catch heaps of little kaloamas. They took it home, grilled it on the open fire for dinner. So
that's very, very good. So and the last one is this one, Taulanu Kehekehe, Colors in Wangahau Niue.
Yes, so this book, I wrote this book last year and was unable to launch or bless the book last year due to COVID. But now we are going to try again, and we're going to launch this book for Niue Language Week. So it's basically, colors in vagahau Niue, written by myself, but I've also got the, the Niue icons, the unga, the peka, the Niue sisi. Yeah, so it's exciting. Really, I'm very passionate about vagahau Niue and making sure that our children, especially our children, have the opportunity or are exposed to materials of helping them to engage with the language.
Oh, this is very good. So as we said earlier, can you please read one of the passage, a quick one from that book of yours, Whakataila, and I'm sure you can tell us what it means in Niue first and then in English, please. Thank you.
So from that book, Whakataila, I'm going to read out the whole process of preparing that Niue delicacy. Puhala tau se ta kihi hasifa. Tau wala kehi kehi. Tau wala fua loku kua hele hele. Ngako niu. Tau wala talo kua hele hele. Ma sima. Lau fusi kua langi. Puhala whakapapahi. Fofala tau lau fusi kua langi I lunga he lau foila. Fola whaka mua tau wala talo kua hele hele I lunga he lau fusi. Fola ki waki tau wala loku kua hele hele I lunga he tau wala talo. Liu fola ki ai e tau atu wala talo mo tau atu wala loku atu moua taki wha e atu wala talo mo wala loku. Ngana ki wala masima. Lingi ke ngako niu ke maluia osi e tau atu wala talo e tau wala loku. Hawhi mua ki e lau fusi to hawhia ki e lau foila. Tau he umu ke ua e tū la. So the passage from that book, Whakataila, is I'm going to read out the ingredients and the process of making a niue takihi. Yeah. So the ingredients is sliced pawpaws, pieces of pawpaw that's already been ripe, slices of pawpaw, coconut cream, thin slices of taro, bit of salt, and the banana leaf that's already been heated on top of the flame. Yeah. So the instructions of how to make and how to prepare the kihi. Firstly, you lay the banana leaf on the table on top of a foil piece. And firstly, you put some taro pieces, slices on top of the, that's the first layer. So slices of taro and then slices of pawpaw. You continue to do that until you get to 4 layers. Then after that, you sprinkle it a little bit of salt, and then you pour in your coconut cream. The best coconut cream is the actual one where you actually squeeze, from the dried coconuts.
That's right.
And you cover it up with the banana leaf and then with foil, and you bake in the oven for 2 hours.
Well, that's you heard it here, audience. That's a recipe for a very good Niuean dish. So I'm going to stop sharing this picture, and I'm going to come back to you, Lynn. Thank you very much for describing those books and and the idea behind that. I understand that we hold our children as the future in terms of language, don't we? So I understand that you work a lot for the children, but I just wanted to ask you 1 or 2 things, and I did ask as well to our different guests before you. When you in your teaching, when you're teaching, I mean, you take the cases that you talk about in your book are something that are in front of you. That's you saw you organize a birthday, you organize for your daughter. So you see things happening around you. So that's how you get your inspiration to write books, or do you sometimes maybe read other books, or maybe you listen to other people, or where do you get your inspiration in those books and in the way you teach vagahau Niue?
So in terms of the passion and what ignited me to start writing was purely the lack of resources, the lack of print materials, the lack of books, that can relate, that our children can relate to in terms of connecting their upbringing or connecting them as a tama Niue to the using of vagahau Niue. So when I came here to New Zealand and I was, looking at, trying to teach vagahau Niue, it was really a struggle. It was so challenging because there was hardly any Niue books to help with the delivery or help with the lesson plans, and to really engage our children in the learning of vagahau Niue. So what I did, I decided to write. Um, but also, so some of those books were written also as part of the dual resources to support the learning and the teaching of vagahau Niue for the Ministry of Education. But there is a massive disconnect between the resources that we currently have to the life experiences that our Niue children are exposed to here in New Zealand. So I'm not a person where I just sit back and wait for things to be done. So I see a need, I get resourced. I start developing things to help breach that gap. And I'm so blessed to be able to be a teacher. And this year, first time ever this year, we opened a very first Niue bilingual unit at Favona Primary School where I'm working at. We've never had that ever at this level, so we're so blessed. And that was one of my goals. That was one of my key things in life, is to know that that our children are being able to be involved, be engaged, be immersed, and not 100%, but have some sort of exposure in the school setting. So I'm so blessed to be able to be part of that. But I have a very strong passion and engagement for children, for teaching, for education, and also for vagahau Niue. It is a very beautiful language. It is a language that a lot of our ancestors worked so hard, strived so hard to maintain its authenticity, to maintain its integrity, to maintain the actual essence of the true vagahau Niue. I'm a strong advocate in making sure that our language is not shortcut. Our language is what we're using now is, all the hard work that our ancestors, our champions, that paved the way many years ago, many generations ago, to where we are now. And for me as a Niue person, it's my role and responsibility to share that language, share the knowledge and the skills with our Niue children.
Oh, that's it's very commendable of you, doing your best for your language, because you have this kind of attachment to your language. You don't want it to falter or to die or to not being used. So that's what you're doing. You're doing your best, and I know the other people the other guests are doing the same as well. They have the same passion, they have the same direction, which is to promote the language, to make sure that our children have this kind of return, if you want, to where they come from, understanding the Niue culture, the Niue language. That will be their link, their attachment to their culture. Now, that's one interesting thing I saw obviously in your bio, is that you were the face, apparently, of COVID-19. And I guess, when you were there, can you tell me, how did you use the language? I guess you have talked to the different, maybe older generation that needed guidance in terms of coming into those vaccination centers. Is that what you did? And is there anything new you did in terms of making them feel comfortable with your language?
I'm very blessed to be able to speak vagahau Niue fluently, and it's, as a Niue person here in New Zealand, and wanting to serve the community, my Niue community, and making sure that the messages and the information that is relayed out to our Niue people are of trusted sources, and factual information from the health professionals and from the government. Because I also work as a vagahau Niue tutor for Pacific Education Centre as a translator, and also as a reporter, announcer for PMN, Pacific Media Network, and the Niue program. I was asked to be the face and be the voice, presenting these very important announcements from the government, from the Ministry of Health. And this was in conjunction with Sunpics, as well as Bright Sunday and Ministry of Pacific Peoples. The information and the announcements that are relayed out in these videos and all the audio advertisements and files have been endorsed by the government of Niue, the Niue Language Commission, as well as the Ministry of Health in Niue and our health professionals here in New Zealand. Just recently, 2 weeks ago, I was part of the Niue Mass Vaccination Working Committee, and I was given the task as the lead the team leader for the communications and the promotions team. So we helped set up a youth group. Our first time ever, we had a Niue youth meeting, and we were able to draw in around 90 youth, Niue youth, and we had a panel of Niue health professionals. They were able to unpack, they were able to clarify and explain the science behind COVID-19. And this was, really driving the message to our Niue youth, and the Niue youth were able to understand, absorb, answer their questions, and, clarifying all the misconceptions or things about COVID-19. And from then I was able to, mobilize our Niue people, but also engaging them and helping them to say that, trust the information that's been shared by our trusted sources, our own Niue health professionals, and making sure that our Niue people are being served correctly and with integrity and truthful information.
Oh, that's that's the kind of thing that the communities are having to do. Having people like you to help. Not only, it's usually you look at the old generation that come for the vaccination, but also, being a way to to transfer and transmit information that is good for young generation too. So that's quite a good role that you're playing there, and also translating for those who don't understand. So that's quite good. I was going to ask you something, but I hope you won't mind. I see that you got a tattoo on your arm. I'm just wondering, is that a tattoo from Niue, or is that a tattoo from, I don't know, Samoa?
It's a tattoo that represents my Samoan side. It's my kaulima.
Oh, we're not going to talk about that then. That's okay.
It's a kaulima that represents my my father's Samoan heritage.
Oh, excellent. That's always fun. Listen, it's already half an hour, nearly half an hour we've been talking. I just wanted to ask you, have you got a last message? Because I think to guess that, we produce quite a lot of, now we produce quite a lot of material. And what we need is for people to come and read the material, or take the material away and read it. And so that's the kind of thing that I can see in all the different languages. We can produce a lot, but we can't make people to come and read. What do you think is, how would you make people come and take this material, take this language, look at it, learn it, and use it? What kind of have you got a way to make those people come? That they say, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. So it's just, what do you think is missing in here?
So PDF files and sharing them to the classroom teachers, or to church groups, or to community groups, and they are able to share those materials within their families and their church groups. You can use, have it on podcast, recorded, or even reading, because some of the books that I've written last year, I think when we first had our lockdown, I read the books online, so I was able to produce, so the book is in print, but I was able to transfer that, read it online, and share it to the many different community groups, church groups, education groups, where they're able to have access to it. You know, creating app like the you know, have you know, send it out in an app, or create some things like you know, there's so many computer programs or things that we can do now. We're lucky, you know, our this generation now are lucky to have a wealth of online materials or resources that they're able to utilize, to use as a vehicle to drive the learning, to drive the passion and the engagement between, you know, them wanting to learn a language and using these written materials. So yeah, they're lucky now that they're able just to open up an app and it's there. Whereas back in the days, I used to go and sit in the library and literally get the encyclopedias and write stuff down.
Well, you know, I hear you. I think the use of technology is becoming more and more important in terms of learning. But, you know, I'm old school. I like this book. I like reading books. So, you know, it's a bit, I'm old school, but you're right. It's technology is there to help us. So we may as well use it to take it to the people instead of waiting for people to come to you. So, you know what, Lynn, it goes so fast. I just, there's so many questions I would like to ask you, but, you know, just, is there one last thing you want to tell us in your beautiful Niue language, just to finish off our interview, please?
Hey, taui, mitaki, whamawhana atu ni matau whanau, tau mamatua, tau mga whaua, tau matakainanga. Tu mau, ke whamalolo, ke whakaonga e vangahau Niue. Tu mau ke whamalolo, ke whakaleo, ke lolongo, ke whakaonga e vangahau Niue, ke hamtolo tau lotukaina, hamtolo tau, ham tau whakawhituianga whakamanga whaua, po ke tau whakakoanga. Koe tunu hia hau, koe tangata Niue, ke tū tokanga e tangata Niue. Tu whamalolo, ke vangahau e vangahau Niue, awaia ne ke fofokelea po ke mā, po ke mai nā koe, ke vangahau e vangahau Niue, koe vangahau fulufuruala, koe vangahau fuakimaheiki ke whakaonga tu mau e tau tūlu. Si whakamawhana atu au, ki a tu mau, langumatai ha tau tūlu tau whanau iki, ha tau tūlu tau mokopuna, ha tau tūlu tau whanau fuata. Mua atu ki a lau tūlu ni whanau he mutu nei kuni silani, ke whakaonga tu mau e vangahau Niue. Whakausi atu pehenei, ki a tūtanga loa e whakalawhanoa, ki ha tau tūlu tau mumui. Tau halawakaanga ki munuina, ni ko hanga ato tau tūru ki ai. Ki a lala maunga e vangahau Niue, si hahamo ke he tapunu. Ki a lala maunga e vangahau Niue, si hahamo ke he tapunu. Put Niue language on your shoulders, and with all your might and power, carry it to the highest peak. Put Niue language on your shoulders, and with all your might and power, carry it to the highest peak. O e tulu tulof kau e lahi, kia munuina.
Well, I don't know what to say. Whakauwe, thank you. Lahi, Lynn, so this is so interesting, and I can see that you are passionate about the Niue language. So thank you once more, and here we are. We heard it from our Niue specialist today, our first lady. So thank you very much and have a good day.